Zadondaney, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. In today's video, we are going to be talking about episode 104 of My Hero Academia. And yes, I know this video was late, and don't worry, it's fine. Anyways, let's actually talk about this episode. So this episode was a completely new episode, as we knew from last episode that it was going to be. This episode focused on Uraraka as well as Froppy and basically what they were doing during basically what's just been happening, which, understandable, we kind of need more information about them because most of the story follows Deku, and yeah, we honestly need to see more from the rest of the class, and this is their way of doing that, which, that's good, because like I said, we needed this. The episode is honestly really interesting because it is a Silky episode, which basically the three students are working alongside Ryukyu and Silky to find some criminals, but also there's a beach part which is just like, oh my gosh, what the frell. Oh. But the biggest thing that's actually really important to talk about in this episode is actually the drug that they are going after. They're specifically going after a drug called Trigger. Now, if you guys aren't Vigilantes fans, that name may be like a little bit in your mind, but you're not quite certain what it is. You may have heard a little bit from it in earlier seasons, specifically back when they fought, back when Fat Gum and Kirishima fought a villain. You might remember that moment. But otherwise, you may not recognize the name. You may be like, what is Trigger? Well, Trigger is the drug of choice of every single villain within Vigilantes. And that was basically the main goal of the series, was that the Vigilantes were going to track down and put a stop to Trigger. Now, of course, we know that they didn't, because obviously it's in the main series, but it's rather interesting just how much they're throwing that name out. They said Trigger at least 5 times throughout the episode, if not more times. As in, they are trying to get your attention. Hey, Trigger, this word is important. They don't say the drug or anything like that. They always refer to it as Trigger, as basically a way to kind of signal to our brains that something is going on. But on top of that, a rather interesting event happens at the end of the episode, and I want to bring that up because it's really important. At the end of the episode, we get to see the villain from the events of the next movie, which is coming out very soon over in Japan, and I believe it's going to be coming out soon here too. Exact dates I'm not certain of, but yeah, this episode is setting up the movie, which means that soon we are going to see the movie as canon. And we are going to see everything that happens within the movie. And basically, this episode is setting that up. Which, needless to say, I'm really excited for. But it's also really interesting, just everything that's going on right now. Because so much of this is really, really freaking important. As we are about to see how things are going to change drastically for these characters. And, yeah, like I said, Trigger is important in Vigilantes. Which leads me to think either something is going to happen with the movie involving the Vigilantes, or we are finally getting a Vigilantes anime. The thing is that they have been doing so many of these little hints towards Vigilantes throughout this season and the previous season. Just putting in these little things that are just like, it's there, and I feel like I can just reach out and grab it. But it's just far enough away that no one is really certain exactly what's going to be happening. And honestly, that's kind of understandable. The fact is that they're kind of looking if there's gonna be that big of a demand. And sure, more than likely, the anime is almost done, but they've been working on it behind the scenes as basically a way to make sure that fans don't necessarily know it's coming, but so that when it comes out and people are going to be ecstatic when it comes out, they will announce it as it is releasing. More than get a trailer or something that tells us, hey, it's happening. Which, that is a huge deal. And a lot of fans are going to go rushing to this new series. Both new and old fans of Vigilantes. Because the fact is that Vigilantes sets up so much for the series moving forward. And honestly, I can't imagine the series not existing in anime format. Like, I can understand them not wanting to make school briefs or team up missions into an anime for whatever reason. Those two are kind of meh when it comes to anime for the chances of being an anime adaptation. School briefs is very episodic. And basically each chapter is taking moments from the anime and the anime and manga and basically putting new stuff, new information into these spots. And sure, the first one could be turned into a movie, but at this point it's not really necessary. But basically all of the others are basically little episodes. And even the first one could be broken into 5 episodes or whatever, I don't remember exactly. But into little episodes and just make it a little bit episodic to give us a ton of information, but at the same time we don't necessarily need it. School Briefs is probably the least likely to get an anime adaptation, followed by, well, actually Smash is probably the least likely because it was hated, or at least I hate it. Smash is probably the least likely, then School Briefs, and then finally Team Up Missions, which the only reason that is that has a low chance is because of the fact that, well, it only has 1 manga right now. And again, all of these are kind of episodic. Not really, it doesn't add to the plot as much as, say, Vigilantes. Vigilantes adds so much in both little and huge details that will get fans hyped beyond all hype to go and see this series and to see what else is going to be happening moving forward in normal My Hero Academia. The fact is that we find out all of the information about Shirakumo in frickin' Vigilantes, which Shirakumo has been hinted at multiple times throughout last season and this season, and is probably going to get even more hints, especially considering the fact that soon we're going to find out who he is next season. And by that I mean, well, hopefully it's only next season. Hopefully it's not this season. If it's this season, then we are screwed. But yeah, we are soon going to find out information about this insanely important character very soon, and most of that information is within Vigilantes. And because of that, I think that they are going to release an anime adaptation of Vigilantes right after. As in, this fall season, we are starting Vigilantes. More than likely, they are not quite done with it, but they are getting close. And more than likely, the only people who know it even exists are the people who are actually working on it. And basically, everyone has signed an NDA or something like that to basically make sure that no one talks about it before it's time for its announcement, because it is huge. This is a really big thing that is going to get fans so hyped that fans will not, more than likely, the second it's announced, you will see Twitter explode. because every single fan of Vigilantes is going to be shouting from the hilltops that Vigilantes is coming out. And even if you do not follow My Hero Academia, you're still going to be finding just everyone is liking or sending huge amounts of tweets saying Vigilantes is coming, Vigilantes is coming. And needless to say, I am really excited for that moment. And I'm just laughing at myself now because I've spent most of this video talking about Vigilantes instead of actually talking about the episode. Which kind of shows how little this episode actually has an impact on the series itself. Pretty much this episode was very self-explanatory. Showing off Uraraka's new outfit, showing off that she has grown so much, showing off that Froppy has grown so much since she last worked with Silky, and showing just a lot of really cool stuff. I mean, it's a beach episode after all. Not really, but kind of. And the second half, sure, it's a lot of action, and they're going after the villains, trying to find them out on the open sea, but honestly, it's kind of meh, all things considered. Like, compared to a lot of what we've seen in the past few episodes of the main series, yeah, it was kind of meh. And compared to what we're about to see within the main series, within the rest of the season, yeah, this is actually pretty just meh, all things considered, which, like I said, it's really surprising. Also, I want to bring up one more thing before I actually conclude this video, which I know is really early, but I want to bring up the fact that some of you guys are probably thinking, this season was kind of boring. There wasn't really any big fights, and to that I say, oh, you have no idea what's coming. The fact is that this season was reorganized, and I've mentioned this in previous videos. Basically, what was supposed to happen is that the moment that we get the everything going on with the right after they finish up the battles, that is supposed to lead right into the villain arc, which is one of, if not the most intense arcs, which is up to this point, it is the most intense arc, and it is going to happen. It is very clearly going to happen. They've hid many things from us in the main series, avoiding ever looking directly at Dentrant, except for subtly hinting, hey, Dentrant's important, make sure that you're paying attention to Dentrant, and then they hiding the faces of the different characters, only showing them in the opening, but in the actual anime itself, they hide the faces of the main cast of the villain characters. And sure, we know now that some of them, at least, are going to survive the villain arc, but honestly, that's not that big of a deal, considering the fact that the villain arc is actually insane. And as for next episode, this is gonna probably be the last episode before we actually do the villain arc. There is a chance, and it's a small chance, but there is a chance that we're gonna have stuff with the a little bit more, but at this point, it's unlikely. The fact is that they really shouldn't do anything involving Shirakumo or the all of the classmates coming together again quite yet, because let's just be honest, that is a great episode to actually use as the launch off point for the next season, especially considering the fact that there is not much before the war arc, and they really should not rush the war arc. It is actually insanity to deal with. So yeah, taking it slow would be wise. Not to mention that we still need Vigilantes to come out, and yeah, that's not fun. But also, Season 6, if they just do the war arc and basically decide to put everything that has just happened everything that's about to happen with Shirakumo as well as the class getting reconnecting at the end of this season, then that's going to have a lot of weird repercussions because it means that more than likely next season is going to be the last season and they're not really going to have time for recovery because the war arc goes straight into the lone wolf arc, as I'm calling it, and that arc is not really something that you can just calmly watch. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about it more as the next episode comes out. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to leave a like, leave your thoughts and theories down in the comments below. Of course, if you guys have any theories, make sure to say theory review somewhere in a comment. And of course, if you guys do want to support the channel even more, then definitely head down to the description and check out all of our links down there, including our social medias, our other channels, and ways you can support us financially, including the merch store, the book, and of course our Patreon, which a big thank you to our current patron, Sheeny. But anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys next time. But on!